copy practices from the West or the East, depending on which country is in favor. Let me give you an example. Some of you may say, I am not related to this, so I need not listen to it. That's a typical reaction. You're caught up in one of those psychological inertia. So let me explain the example. Simple example. Assume a poultry farm. And by the way, no creativity. Huh? This is a live problem. There's a poultry farm. They are into the business of collecting eggs and selling eggs. So the process is, the eggs roll down a ramp, and there's a worker. He takes the egg, puts it in the box. Simple process. Now the requirement, business requirement is, I want to date stamp the eggs. Put 4th February 2011. Now I pose this situation to many people. If it is a biologist or a bioscientist, he'll say, I will come out with a hen which is genetically engineered to date stamp eggs. Okay, very good. No, good thinking, futuristic thinking. Okay, you may say not possible today, but let's not reject the idea. That's also the essence. If I ask the mechanical guy, he'll be worried about looking at a mechanical contraption, some mechanical hand doing stamp. Okay. If I ask some other guy, he will maybe from administrative background, he'll say, the ramp which is coming down, no, I'll put ink on that. So when the egg is rolling down, no, the date will get rolled over it. Okay, very good. If I ask some electrical or some computer science or IT guy, like we were mentioning some time back, they'll talk of sensors and all that laser devices and all that. Now let's see how a businessman would say. A business guy will say, hold on, all you technically sound people, hold on to your technical thoughts right now. I've got a business to run. I've got a simple solution, which is workable, cost effective. I don't need to do heavy investment in research and R&D and all, but I get my things done and I get my results. How many of us would have ever considered this as a readily available resource? The reason I'm highlighting this is, I've met engineers who are very good, and in fact, by the way, you may be 20 years mechanical engineering, you may still not be able to solve your domain problem because the answer lies in chemical engineering. And one of my batchmates who's now become associate professor back at IIT Delhi, he told me, because he was doing on all electrical and all, the question that was asked some time back. So I said, how come you're a civil engineer? Asked some civil engineering questions earlier, and you're doing on all that. He said, do you know what? Airplane design, use civil engineers. How come? Frame, no, structural, okay. Hard disk manufacturers use civil engineers. How come? Vibrations in hard disk, no. Structures. He said all this artificial classification of civil, chemical, and all that was a BTech level thing. The more and more you evolve, it's eventually science, which is what was mentioned sometime, maths and science. Somewhere in our urge to learn the concepts and become the expert, we have become so expert that we have forgotten that there are things lying around us because we think they are different from us. I think this is where the innovation, there's a systematic skill. So I'm not saying subject matter expertise is not required, but there are different skills to add on to that. So solutions that have worked well for us in the past may not be good enough for the future, and that's why we're having this debate. And I've got a short education on history. Some solutions worked well in the past, correct? Does not mean we need to continue doing the same things all over again, right? So there is a way to develop those skills. We don't have the luxury of development time. There was a time when R&D labs used to be what? Thomas Alva Edison, 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration. What does that mean actually? He had a team of 5,500 people working under him in his lab for making that one bulb, that incandescent thing. Each one was trying one type of material to make the filament. Somebody trying bamboo, somebody trying cotton, somebody trying something, till finally they hit upon the answer. That's trial and error approach. And there was a time in R&D when you had the Bell Labs and HP and IBM who used to be huge manned labs. This is brute force. We don't have the time. There are better ways to resolve it and come out. So when we say saying PhD and all, or writing research articles and all, there are ways to systematically generate ideas. It's not mystery. Like Peter Engelmeyer said, that heavenly fire descends upon some people from a thinking point of view and generating solutions unfairly on some people and favoring some people over other people. Some people say, no, I was sleeping in the night and I dreamt a snake which somehow became a benzene molecule. All those are giving you wrong ideas that things happen at random. There is a systematic, scientific, structured process that we need to develop in the workforce if we want them to come out with strong output. Output means research paper, poetry, technical design, it doesn't matter. Because when we do work with our clients, they are engineering and non-engineering, and we get patents filed also, but done in a more systematic manner. So all this brainstorming stuff of creating a lot of ideas is pretty inefficient, given the context of the situation you may be facing. High IQ and EQ does not necessarily translate into high thinking skills. I know it's controversial because a lot of corporations especially say, no, we hire the best from the best for the best. But unfortunately, your best definition may be restricted to IQ only. IQ is like horsepower. You are faster on the uptake. You understand the concept very fast, okay? That does not necessarily translate into better driving skills. You may have a lot of EQ, but that does not guarantee you will not run over people on the road. Which means you, once in a while you run over people in the road. Your EQ is strong. You can empathize with the guy who you just ran over, no? And you say, no, I should not have done that. You are trying to not to, but you don't have the skills. So if we want people to become strong and innovative, it's not that we hire the most intelligent people and we'll suddenly start saying innovative. That's not the thing. A guy may be slow on the uptake, but may come out with brilliant ideas, workable ideas. So the emphasis on modular and doing a social service, there are a lot of projects happening around that. Are you aware? A 6-year-old girl has done a project by which she has identified the Bharatnatyam mudras and equated them to the fractional numbers. She's done a research project, India, 6-year-old girl. How many of us would remember, first of all, numbers, right? Then fractional, and then Bharatnatyam. Nobody takes interest. I'm not the dance kind, right? And then the mudras in Bharatnatyam, I'm making a subset of that things. How many of us would be interested in that? There's an NGO in Odisha which is teaching mathematics through cricket. Cricket is God, right? So there are ways to do it. And so, yeah, so the message from Albert Einstein, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is finite. So we want to create knowledge. We need to develop the skills. Our submission is what the academic programs are mostly focusing is on subject matter expertise. When the situations that you face in real life may not all reside in the books. So we need to generate a different level of skill set in people. One is your ability to generate new ideas, which I'm putting as imagination, and not just random brainstorming. Thinking, which means channelizing your energies in a meaningful way, and then expressing it in a way that the society accepts your answers. Mind to market, idea to impact, creativity to commercialization, whichever one you like. And just to highlight, there are specific skills that people need to develop. It is not a random science that I'm presenting. And by the way, this is not my creation or our company creation also. It's been happening since the mid-40s. It's just that people in India are not aware. We quote a lot about Chinese and all. Korean as a country has gone big deal into this. Japanese have been doing it for a while. China is very strongly into this, very strongly. They are doing it. And unfortunately, Indians are just becoming aware of this. So we talk about innovation. There are some initiatives in Europe also. A lot of projects are happening around that, in terms of school level to university level. And we've got a small program designed around those lines, some 51 hours, which can be custom designed. This is just to illustrate, where you do a balanced development of left brain and right brain, not just becoming only creative, but also channelizing it to generate meaningful output. We also got an assessment tool, which is our small step towards that innovation quotient, which means students can know where they are. And then even teachers, by the way, can do their own baselining. So to sum it up, the journey has still begun. Let's be optimistic. Let's create the glory for the next 200 years. We are all innovators sitting out here. Why do we worry about what somebody has not done? The key to innovative thinking is what Toyota people say is thinking within the box, within the constraints and the resources of a given situation. Can you generate ideas? It's a no-brainer going back to government and saying, give me 50% GDP allocation. That anyone can do. What we have to realize is, and which is what some of the speakers have been presenting. Of course, I'm not saying don't go for the lab. That, of course, you need some of those things. All I'm saying here is, but some of the ideas presented, like virtual connection and all, Sweden, the way they are connecting to labs, those are some of those ideas we need to come out with. Resources are limited. That is where our innovation comes in. So our submission is, there are skills available, and our company provides those skills. So in case you're interested, we can take up questions during lunchtime or any time during the day. And of course, we got a stall outside on QAI. So thank you for your patience.